Hey everybody, Brian from Bearable Traders. It's the weekend, September 21st. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. This is the weekend video. We'll take a look at what happened last week in the markets, and then we'll take a look ahead and see what we got coming down the pike this week. It was a pretty good week for the bulls, and we'll see if we can keep her going for next week. So let's get down to it. Okay, so starting out with a quick review, September 15th, markets posted another strong week. Fed delivered that quarter point rate cut that the market had expected. There was a bit of a cautionary note about inflation. A lot of people read Powell's comments as being dovish. Others thought it was a little hawkish, but certainly consensus was looking for maybe one or two more rate cuts by the end of the year. And of course, there's only two opportunities to do that, one in October and one in December when the Fed meets again. So anyway, I think they're still being a little bit cautionary, a little bit data dependent, which you would expect. But you can see here how we finished the week. Technology certainly very strong with the Qs up over 2.2%. And of course, the small caps benefiting from the rate cut up over 2% as well. Technology, communication services, again, biggest gainers on the week. Real estate and staples. You would have thought real estate might have benefited, but there was a bad report from Lennar, one of the home builders. And of course, that was maybe a contributing factor for the sector that lost the most this week. 2-year and 10-year treasuries, they crept up a little bit. You know, everyone was thinking they might drop because the Fed cut their rate, but that's not always the case. And quite often you see these rates increase, the yields increase when the Fed cuts. It's not always quite that correlated. So you can see the US dollar finished up a little bit on the increase in yields, and Bitcoin was, pretty much hanging around this same area, 115.5, 116.5. So that was your week in review. Okay, so we'll take a quick break and just talk about some of the books I have on Amazon. You can see there's my first book, How to Swing Trade and Profiting as an Active Trader. The second one, Profiting as an Active Trader, a little bit more in-depth compared to the first one on position and swing trading. And then, of course, my latest book, How to Trade Options. And options are becoming more and more important in the market these days as they become more heavily traded and therefore influence market direction more, especially on a day-to-day basis. So you can check those out. The links are in the description below. And so let's move on and look at some indexes. Always, you can see here, we did tick up. We got that quarter point rate cut, but we did end up ticking up on Thursday and Friday on the yields on the treasuries there. So you can see we ended up the week a little bit higher on the yield on the 2-year. And 10-year, much the same, got a little bit of an uptick there, and not unusual when a Fed cuts rates. Quite sometimes the yields will often go in opposite directions, so it's kind of a weird non-correlation to those two events. So you can see here the Dow again making another all-time high, pulled back on Friday, but again pretty decent day overall, and of course making a new weekly high there. Pretty much the same for the Qs. We went out pretty close to high of day as well on the Qs on Friday. And of course, another all-time high. And that weekly just looks really like we're breaking out here. Quite extended, I would say, from some of the moving averages. You can see here we're getting quite extended. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a bit of a pullback because we are moving away from these moving averages. So maybe watching for a bit of a reprieve there for the week. Friday was not a great day for the small caps, although we did go out pretty close to breaking this previous high here and closing above it. So that was a positive for the small caps as well. But again, everything's pretty extended from these moving averages and maybe needs to have a little bit of a break, pullback, consolidation before maybe we leg up higher as we get into the end of the year and Santa Claus comes to town. So here we go with the VIX again. Really no sign of any fear. Nobody's making any big hedging bets, which usually drives option prices up. The dollar again kind of finished just a little bit up on the week there. quite a big pullback there, but we managed to bounce off this prior level of support, and we're back in that range. And that's it on the dollar for the weekly. And you can see here, again, let's kind of skipped over Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin seems to be stuck in this range again here. And again, it's trading just under 116, as I already mentioned. So that was your indexes in review. FMS, mentioned this one before, number of times long-term hold. I'm in down here, and I'm actually thinking of legging out of some because it's just, it does have some catalysts coming, but I'm also very heavily invested in it, so I'm just trying to reduce my size a little bit on it. I'm not going to get out completely. Gold trade, I've mentioned this, I've been in this for quite a while now, and I don't really see any reason to get out of this. It just continues to go higher, and the catalysts are there to keep it going, I believe. LABU still have a small size here from breakout back a while ago now, and it's still breaking out here, and I'm still holding a small size on this one. Silver, same story as gold. I've got a bunch of gold and silver stocks in my portfolio, so I'm just holding on to those. Again, TNA, small size position, still holding on to that one, still going up. And Uber, I traded this week. It's a new addition. I really like these oversold conditions. So Lyft came out with a announcement about Waymo, being partnered with Waymo, and introducing some stuff in Tennessee, I believe it was, Nashville. And Uber really sold off in that news, and I knew it was a bit of an overreaction, so got back in here on Thursday and sold on Friday back up near this high here. So that was a quick swing trade, but overnighter. And UNH still holding some as after we had that really nice breakout. I think it's going to consolidate here, but I'm still holding a little bit there as well. Looking for this at some point, looking for this gap fill around 375. And that's the stock, some of the stocks I'm in right now. Okay, so let's look at some of the stocks I am watching next week. I started watching this one. It was sort of on a secondary watch list, and I kind of missed this move here. Unfortunately, we broke out on Wednesday and really started to move up. Again, this is an energy theme, and I think energy, with the AI build out, energy is sort of like that second derivative play because you can't have AI and all these servers without energy. So I think energy is as potent a trade as the AI trade, and you can see here had a nice little breakout. I'm looking for a pullback. Maybe we get one next week since we are pretty extended, and we'll look at that one for possible entry. OKLO, I day traded this one on Friday. Man, it just ripped. I kind of thought it was getting to a level where it might stall up or out around 120, so I got out of it. Ended up going to 135, but again, this is just this nuclear energy trade that just is continuing to work here. You can see how heavy the volume was on OKLO on Friday. I think it continues to trade, and I think pullbacks can be bought. PLTR sold off on everybody saying that it getting a bunch of reports saying it was way overbought. Really way too expensive. Of course, it sold off. Now it's come right back up again. And you can see here we had a big day on Friday. I'm looking for this to go back to sort of this all-time high, which is sort of 190-ish. So we're trading at 182 now, and I'd be watching that next week. SES, again, an AI stock, broke out on Thursday. It was, again, another one I had on secondary watch list and missed trading it, but looking for a bit of a pullback. Maybe it pulls back to this sort of 140, 145 area, and we can get a trade on that. But a lot of the quantum stocks and the AI stocks were lighting up this week. Tesla's looking really good here. We've got a bit of a breakout here and now a bit of a flag forming, and maybe we're going to break higher next week. And along the same theme with uranium, I do have some investments in uranium already. I've got some sort of junior mining stocks in uranium, but you can see here we broke out again on Friday, partially because, obviously would help drive OKLO up as well. And look at the volume here. I think this continues to push higher. I think this is going to turn into something similar that we saw with gold and silver. So uranium hot, 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 hot. And that's the potentials I'm watching for next week and invested in. Okay, so let's wrap things up for the week of September 22nd. You can see there's your levels for the Dow, Q, SPY, and IWM, support and resistance. As far as economic events go, I would say the big one is going to be the Friday PCE data, consumer sentiment. But the PCE, of course, is the data point that the Fed favor in terms of watching how the fight on inflation is going. We do have some home sales and some other stuff later in the midweek there as well. Of course, we're in the middle of earnings season, so you can see there nothing much going on. We do have Micron post market on Tuesday, and KB Homes end of market on Wednesday, and Costco will be an interesting one on Thursday. So that's a couple to watch. And then finally, let's do a quick high-level assessment. Looking ahead, markets, of course, continuing to make all-time highs. September, as I've mentioned earlier, not usually a good market or month for market returns, but for some reason, this month is proving to be wrong so far. Again, technology seems to be pushing and driving this market higher. We had some good performance, of course, with the small caps as well. And as mentioned earlier, uranium, anything to do with power and AI demand seemed to do well this week. The quantum stocks really sort of got investor interest going again this week. Many of them are extended, but we could watch for continued strength there. And of course, dip buyers always there to support the markets at this point. So that's it, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend, and hopefully we will see you in the room 8 o'clock on Eastern time on Monday morning. Join us there live on YouTube, and of course our members in the members chat room. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.